So that comment was posted originally circa October 3rd, 2018. I remember that's when that video was for some reason becoming popular and whatever, and it got so many responses. Now that it's been about 5 years, I just wish to revisit some of those comments that I never said anything about because I don't like to entertain clowns like that. But now I just want to see if there has been any kind of evolution when it comes to my reaction. When I first saw it, I thought, if you at all find me, like genuinely me, not a deep fake, actually engaging in any kind of reproductive attempts activities, I will give you all of the money that I have in my bank account, which isn't very much, but I would be willing to give it all up for you because that is something that's worthy of rewarding. And then I also thought about, why is it that people like that try to post something that's shocking? I guess in an effort to gather attention, or maybe in an effort to try to bring an emotion out of the person who's on the receiving end of such a comment. I just remember telling myself that I am just happy that I don't have anything psychologically wrong with me that makes me confident to go up to a stranger and do that. Because I look at online activity, at least my personal online engagements, how I manifest, this is the way that I would expect to react in real life, in person. So I wouldn't go up to a person and on their face just say something like that. Also, it doesn't help that those aren't the kinds of thoughts that I have anyway. So if I cannot concoct such a thought, naturally, I'm not going to be able to say it. I was always curious about what makes a person turn into a clown like that. Now, this one is a comment from around April 20th, 2019. That's the date stamped that I have on my picture of when that screenshot was taken. For this one, I really thought that it was another one of those dumb comments. I do not recall if I replied to this one in particular. I probably didn't. I just remember looking at that line that says, I wonder how she is in bed, and being like, once again, is this the way that someone would dare to approach a stranger, make that kind of comment? Let's say that for some reason I'm having this conversation somehow. I'm having that world without men conversation out in public. I never would, because usually my deep conversations don't happen in open air. It tends to happen in like an enclosed space because that's the time when I'm usually more willing to talk. I don't like to have an audience around. If you would have overheard me saying to someone in person the content of that World Without Men video, would you have all of a sudden gotten up from your table or walked from wherever the hell you're at, come over to me and be like, oh, you know, those thoughts that you're sharing are intelligent and you're nerdy and cute and whatever. I wonder how you are in bed too. Would you say that? If your answer is no, then that ought to tell you that your behavior online is very weak. It's stupid. And to me, I look at it as this is someone who has problems with their self-confidence and self-esteem. Because like when I watch people online, videos of whatever it is that it is, and let's say that for some reason I find the person on the other side of the screen handsome, I'm not thinking about them in a reproductive way. So like, why is it that you feel confident leaving that kind of comment? I don't want just the answer of, well, it's the internet, so therefore you tend to be anonymous. More often than not, like, it can be difficult to track someone down. That's not the point. I want to get to the root of the problem. What makes this person just feel comfortable getting behind that keyboard and leaving comments like that? At least fortunately, I'm someone pretty much impossible to offend. The only people who have the potential of offending me are the people in my close circle, and it really depends on what it is. But fortunately, strangers don't faze me in any way, but it does intrigue me that there's people out there who say that type of thing. Because I don't think like that, and that's something that I don't do, then I wish to understand why is it that there's people like that. If you guys have any theories, thoughts, or know the answer, or you yourself were a perpetrator like that and you changed your ways, you don't necessarily have to identify yourself, but I guess without expressing that it is you who you're talking about, maybe be like, yeah, I knew of somebody who had that kind of behavior, and then da 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 da. Like, I just really want to understand that, because it's something that I don't do, something that I don't think about. So I wonder what it's like for the person who comes up with those thoughts. Or is it really that you just don't have anything better to do with your time? And for some people, it might be upsetting that some people wonder about that. People like to be like, just ignore it. You don't have to think about it deep. But I'm thinking, no, it is worthy of thinking about it deep, because it's just something that isn't normal. It's not something that should be normal. It's not something that a person should just go around and just say. See what I mean? So for you to be thinking of someone in that regard and wondering those things about them without knowing a thing about them, if that were someone who I'm dating, it would bother me. Because I'm thinking, oh, why are you online saying those kinds of things about other females? That's completely disrespectful, but also the person on the other end of the screen deserves respect as well. So why aren't you doing that? Like, why is it hard for you to be respectful? That's really the root of my question. But anyways, now that it's been so many years, I can look at it and not feel, maybe back in the day when this was happening to me, I was shocked by maybe 10%, because I didn't think that that was something that would happen to me. I didn't think that I was absolutely immune to it. But what I'm saying is that I wasn't expecting for something to gather so much attention that I would have people coming out like that. And I also wish that the people that I did encounter would actually engage with me intelligently and not just making stupid comments like that. My body, my activities, my stuff like that, it's always going to be off limits unless I happen to bring up the topic, saying, I think one time I discussed my literal period. Like, that's different, because I know that that is something that it varies from woman to woman, and it's a pretty interesting thing to discuss the deeper you get into it. But outside of that, deeper details like that, nobody's ever going to know. Now that it's been 5 years approx since all of that happened, I look at it as, I'm glad that even back then, even though I was shocked, because it's not something that I casually discuss in day-to-day conversations, I wasn't freaked out by it in any way. I feel like there are some people who tend to overreact comments like that, but for me it was like, okay, there is this clown. I can do multiple things. I can either block them, preferably ignore them, or I could try to reply but dismissing the parts of the comments that bothered me. But now that I've gotten a little older from that, I think if the shit didn't bother me back then, it's definitely not going to bother me now. I'm also grateful that that kind of activity has definitely died down, because I'm not sure that if in every single one of my videos I saw that, I would be, encouraged, I guess, when it comes to exploring certain matters. But even if I were making something as innocent as a food review, or if I were to show you all how I fold a t-shirt, that has the potential of making someone just say something. Anytime your face is showing, you're exposing yourself to that potential. But at least I'm grateful that I was able to prove to myself that age doesn't have anything to do with maturity. I feel like at the time I handled that well. It's not like I was going to bed upset or fearing about my well-being or anything like that. It's okay. People said dumb shit and I was able to carry on with my day. I just really wish to understand the psychology of these people. Really, that's it.